Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batwoman Unmasked. I have no idea how I ended up buying the unmasked one and not the masked one. Maybe because I wasn't collecting them at the time, or so. I don't know what happened, but I have the unmasked one. If there's a masked one that I can get easily, I will. I don't know where those ones Target exclusive, and that's the only place I saw it. You guys can let me know if you know. Either way, I did review Batman Beyond. If you want to check out that review, it'll be in the top right-hand corner. But it was a pretty good figure. Not perfect, but pretty good, and I suspect this one will be as well. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This figure stands roughly 7 inches to the top of her head, which makes her pretty close to, let's say, 17.5 centimeters. It's just above that. So that gives her pretty good scaling with the other figure. She's just a touch shorter, and that makes sense. Now, before we get into the review, let's do a quick question of the day. Are you guys familiar with Batman Beyond simply from the animated series or from the comics as well? To my knowledge, she's only from the comics. Is that correct? I don't remember her being in the series. So I'm not intimately familiar with her design, and we're going to get right into a thing I'm not sure about. For Batman Beyond, I don't think I've ever seen the wings be permanently out like this. They shoot out of his suit and connect to his arms, and then I guess sometimes they stay connected like a flying squirrel. Is it normal for hers to be hanging out like this? Like a cape? Is that a thing? You guys can let me know. Okay, let's get into the aesthetic. Solid black plastic. No paint anywhere. There's no different tones of black anywhere. It is super basic. We get the silver and red here. We get the red plastic here. And we get the painted face. So let's talk about the face. It's got kind of a stylized look. It's definitely not realistic. It looks really good though. They did a great job with it. My only gripe is the side eye. And it's even more gripey because on this thing right here, if it'll focus, she doesn't have the side eye. But on this thing right here, she does. It's very anime-esque, but I kind of like it. Like, it looks really good. It's just the side eye's very bothersome. But good sculpt, really good paint. I love the hair sculpt. It's very windswept, but also not. That's exactly the way I like it. Very balanced, not just like it has to look like the wind's blowing in one direction type of thing. Love that. Love that they did the insert piece here to keep the paints clean, and then this is done well, but there's no paint otherwise, so it is fairly basic. There are some sculpted details throughout. You can see all the little panel lines and stuff, and it looks really nice. The only thing I don't like is that the wings are permanently connected, which was a gripe before for the other guy, and that they're not very stiff or straight, which is, it's not that big of a deal. I don't like the holes in here because they don't really serve that much of a purpose anyway. And I don't like that the back of her suit has a giant plug thing in the back to hold the wings on. I'm guessing that's not an accurate thing, but if it is, then just strike that from the record. So yeah, it's nice. I do think, like, at least do some shading in the hair since everything else is black, but it looks pretty good. But because it doesn't have some of the details I would want, I'm going to knock it down to a 7 out of 10. There's one thing I want to mention. I should have mentioned it before I gave the rating, I guess. But it's the way they did the diaper on this figure. They always go too high up. This diaper should have stopped at the top of the silver things so that it was very nicely hidden. It would have looked so much better and it would have afforded more range, but they didn't do that. Okay, so let's talk about the accessories. She has the 2 fist hands that come on her in the package. Very nice, appropriate for a Batman character. We also get the 2 trigger finger hands, which is super ridiculous, but at least they can be used to hold the Batarang, which is still oversized and chunky, but you do get it, so I like that. I love, love, love these blast effects for her feet. I think they're the same ones that came with Batman Beyond. They're similar, if not the same. They're very nicely colored, and they peg in and look wonderful. I love these things. Very, very nicely done. We get her black display stand, which is pointless. No flying stand. I'm pretty sure Batman Beyond had one, didn't he? A flight stand? I could be wrong. Maybe I just used my own. But we only get the black plastic one. And we get her trading card, which is pointless, because this is back before they even did the photoshops. So it just looks like this figure, but without side eye. So it's just kind of like salt in the wound. Granted, I don't like the new photoshopped ones, but I don't like any of these trading cards, and they're all silly. Otherwise, the accessories are pretty good. I do think we should probably get, like, the release with both heads in the package rather than 2 separate releases. Like, that flew for the 90s and 2000s when figures were a lot cheaper, but $20 a pop doesn't warrant getting an alternate figure for just one different head. So, pretty bummed out about that, but all in all, it's not bad. I'll do 7 out of 10 for the accessories. Okay, let's try the articulation. Ball pegs for the neck, or for the head, I should say. The neck doesn't move. It's not great, but it's good enough. It rotates mostly and leans, nothing special. We have our ball peg connected to the body with the little cap, but you barely get any extra range. Shoulder pads are connected to the forearms. That's a good thing. You can raise the arms up horizontally, very nice. Full rotation. Bicep swivel works perfectly because of that. That's exactly how you want to do that. Double jointed elbow works great, no problems there. Ball hinge for the wrist works great, no problems there. It's the perfect size. For the torso, the bat logo gets squashed up a little bit, so that's not ideal. I think they probably would have been better off just putting another piece in her abdomen, but I get what they're going for, so that's okay. It does lean back fairly well, leaning forward, better than most, but still not very much. Out to the side works nicely, it's pretty good. You do get your rotation. Lower abdomen feels more stiff than usual, upper abdomen a little bit better than usual, so that's kind of good. Legs go out to the side, not full on splits, but pretty close. I'll definitely take that. And then going forward, the diaper does get in the way. I do think, just like I said, there's too much diaper up here, there is too much diaper down here. I'm tempted to just go at it right now on camera and trim that up, but it'd be too difficult to not scratch the crap out of the figure underneath, so I won't do that. But if you wanted to trim the diaper, I suspect you'd get much better range. Since they normally give their figures nice big butts, let's see what they did for her. I'd say that's pretty appropriate. Way to go, McFarlane. Alright, thigh swivel is basically non-existent. Double jointed knees work nicely. That's good, but the limited hips definitely impede posability to a great degree. For the ankles, these boots right here are a separate piece on top of the plastic, and they're down a little bit low, so they do interfere with the ankle a little bit, not too much, and also the ankles are still those crappy ratchets that are too weak and too ratchety, but it's technically functional, so that's okay. But they did screw up the toe hinge. Not only is it too far back on the foot, but it can't straighten out. So she always had this like elf shoe look, and they're also very loose. But I wanted to try something. I did bring my knife out for a reason, and we're gonna see if I can keep it on screen as I'm doing this out at arm's length. I just want to try trimming that little bit of plastic where the foot closes, just to see if we can get a little bit better range. And I'm doing this not in the way I normally would. This is not the safest thing because I could slip, but let's just see if I can trim just a little bit of plastic here. And it still doesn't want to go. Alright, I'm going to trim some more. 2 seconds. Okay, so I actually brought the figure close to me so I could actually see what I was doing, and after I trimmed a little bit more plastic, it did help the foot to go flat. Or at least flatter. It's not going to be perfect because they didn't do a great job, but if you really wanted to, if you have a hobby knife, if you just square that up a little bit, it does look like the toe will go down. It's definitely still too loose, but at least it won't be curved up like an elf shoe, so you could do that, no big deal. Alright, so yeah, the articulation kind of blows. These guys are just like before. They move independently, and they just are ugly. Clumsy and ugly. Certain poses will look good, other poses will look goofy. So articulation on this figure, 6 out of 10. It's not good in a lot of ways, in other ways it's fine. Final verdict on this figure, it's not bad. I don't think it's quite as good as Batman Beyond. We have some unneeded limitations in the torso and the hips. The side eye is definitely a problem also, but it's definitely not a bad release. If you're into the Bat family, this is a decent enough one to pick up. They did do a good job on the face other than the side eye. I'm going to give it a final verdict of 7 out of 10. It's a fun enough release. It won't be like amazing, it won't thrill anybody, but it definitely isn't going to be too disappointing. So I'll give you the go ahead. You should pick it up if you were thinking about it. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up or give it a share. That would be great. If you didn't, you could hate share it. That's fine too. And if you haven't subscribed, I would recommend it. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.